There was a woman in Nairobi. She was working right here in Nairobi. She was good at her job. She was diligent, she was quiet, she was consistent. She had a lot of, she had integrity. She was loving, she was present. She was a good mother and a wife. But her boss back at the workplace was difficult, always correcting her, rushing her over, never satisfied with what she was doing, never saying well done or excellent or good work. At first, she enjoyed it. She felt she could enjoy it. She could tell herself that it's okay, I'll improve. But slowly, something started to happen. Something started to grow inside her. It wasn't just frustration, it was bitterness, this heavy kind of bitterness. It was bitterness that made the heart very heavy. Now, things worsened. One day in a meeting, her boss corrected her again in front of everyone. Now, it wasn't harsh, but it felt personal. And that day, she picked up the fight. She didn't fight physically, no. But she just changed and declared war against the boss. Now she started gossiping, complaining. She became very negative. She could turn everyone against the boss, or speaking against the boss. See, at first it felt good because she felt that she was releasing something. But it changed her. She became negative, very irritable. She became very toxic. She was constantly on edge. And then, now, this negativity followed her to her home. It followed her to her home. And that's how it usually is. Negativity can be transferred from your workplace to your home. Most times even destroying your home. Now it followed her to her home, and her husband eventually noticed it. Even the kids started avoiding her, they noticed it. Now she was no longer soft like she used to be. She wasn't always present at the moment. Now, small things could turn into arguments, very simple things. And most times, silence could just fill the house whenever she was around. And at work, things even got worse. Her performance dropped. Her relationships broke at the workplace. Now, out of anger, she just one day she called it quits and resigned. Without a plan, just out of emotions, you see, out of emotion. And at first, it felt like victory to her. But weeks passed, there was no job. Pressure at home piled. Distance in our marriage grew wide. It's good that invisible barrier kept becoming stronger. Then one day she had, after church, she had something that broke her. Now, one day she met the wife of her former boss after the church. Now, we'll say this to her. She revealed something that really made her realize that she'd done a mistake. She said this, that you see, the boss, your former boss, was actually liked you. He was preparing you for a major promotion in your subsidiary in Kampala, to head a subsidiary in Kampala, in fact. Now, then it dawned on this woman that she had always been on succession planning all along, and that she'd been listed to take over once things had been put in place. And in that moment, she realized that the battle that she thought she was fighting had destroyed her. She didn't just lose a job, she lost peace, she lost joy, and she almost lost her family. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself. How many people started just like her, but are slowly becoming someone they don't even recognize anymore? Because here it is. Revenge does not just hurt others. It changes who you become. It changes who you are. And before you know it, you are no longer fighting the problem. You become that problem. You become that part of it, part of that problem. The real danger is not the battle outside. It is what the battle is turning you into. Now let's go deeper, because the way you are fighting right now is already deciding your future. Now, because many of you are fighting battles in your life right now, the same way that woman fought her battles, with anger, with reaction, with force, and you think you are defending yourself, but you don't realize that you're activating a law or the principle of reproduction that Jesus talked about in the book of Matthew chapter 26, verse 52, that those who take up the sword shall perish by the sword. Now, some of the battles you're fighting are the reason the battle is destroying you. Because not every fight is yours, and not every weapon is allowed. If you understand this principle, if you understand this message, then you stop fighting unnecessary battles and start winning the ones that matter most. Also, I want you to know this. And now in the book of Matthew chapter 26, verse 52, Jesus was not just correcting Peter. He was revealing a law, not an advice, not an opinion, but a law, that all who take up the sword shall perish by the sword. This means the moment you choose a weapon, you have already chosen your outcome. You've already selected your outcome. Let me open this up. In the spirit realm, there's something called the law of reproduction, the law of reproduction. This is what it means. It means that whatever you release comes back to you in the same nature, in the same measure, in the same manner. If you release anger, you will receive anger. If you release hatred, you will receive hatred. If you release manipulation, you will encounter manipulation also. It will find you ultimately. Now, this is why some people say that why does this keep happening to me? It's not always witchcraft. It's not always your enemies. Sometimes, most times, it is the weapon you chose to use for wrong battles. Because many believers don't even understand that you can't be right and be wrong at the same time. You can't be right and still be destroyed by the same method that we are using. See, Peter was right to love Jesus, but he was wrong in how he responded when Jesus was arrested. And Jesus immediately they stopped him. Why did he stop him? Because if Peter continued, he will enter a system of destruction. He will have entered into a system of destruction. Let me say something dangerous. Something dangerous. If you fight with insults, or even revenge, or even emotional reactions, you are not just responding. You are entering a covenant with the Spirit, with that same Spirit. And whatever you partner with will eventually judge you. That is why you see people who always shout are always shouted at, who always fights, are always in conflict, who hurt others are always hurt. Even those who always manipulate are always betrayed eventually along the way. It is not a coincidence. It is just a spiritual mirror. It is a manifestation of the law of reproduction. Now, the sword you pick is the world that you create. If you choose the sword, you must live by it. If you live by it, you will die by it. You will definitely die by it. Now hear this. Jesus was introducing something higher, a kingdom where you don't win by force, but by alignment. Now that is why he told Peter that, put it back. Not because Peter was weak or even wrong, but because Peter was about to destroy his own destiny. He was about to destroy his own destiny. That's why Jesus had to stop him. See, some of you, the reason your life feels constant in battle, or even feel like constant battle, is because you never put that sword back. It's because you're always fighting wrong battles. Every situation you want to fight it. You want to react to it. You want to respond to it with emotions. You want to escalate it by fighting. and you don't realize that you are feeding the very thing that is fighting you. Now, note this. Peter thought he was doing the right thing. Let that sink in you. He wasn't trying to betray Jesus. He thought he was doing the right thing by protecting Jesus. But he wasn't being evil. He was just being loyal. And yet, Jesus still rebuked him. Now, this means something very deep. You can be sincere and still be completely wrong. See, you can be sincere but completely wrong. Yeah. Peter saw men coming to arrest Jesus, and in his mind, he thought that this is an attack. This is injustice. This must be stopped by all means. So he reacted emotionally, fast, violently. But what Peter didn't understand, what he could not discern was this, that moment was God's will unfolding. So while Peter was fighting the soldiers, he was actually fighting the plan of God. He was actually going against the will of God, the plan of God. And this is where many believers are today. This is where you and I may be today. You see something happening in your life. You see a delay. You see a disappointment. You see a failure, a betrayal. You see a closed door. You see a closed opportunity. And immediately you pick up the sword. Then you start forcing things. You start just forcing things. You start manipulating outcomes. You start bribing. You start fighting people. You start reacting emotionally. Not knowing that situation has been placed by God for your destiny. The situation might be divinely permitted. See, it may be the will of God that it happens. So let me say something heavy. Not every attack is the devil. Some situations are just the divine setup to take you to your next level. But if you misinterpret them, if you can't discern them properly, you will find the very things sent to grow you. Now, Peter saw a problem. Jesus saw a prophecy being fulfilled. He saw a prophecy unfolding. Now, Peter saw danger. Jesus saw destiny. And the difference was discernment. Now, many people have lost relationships. Many people have lost opportunities. Many people have lost divine timing because they reacted instead of discerning, because they fought instead of asking, God, is this really you? Because, I want you to hear this again, the greatest danger is not just fighting the devil. The greatest danger is fighting God's plan, fighting God's process, and calling it defending yourself. Now, some of you listening right now, God allowed you through that situation, that delay, that rejection. See, the silence wasn't abandonment, but God allowed it because it was a divine setup. And then you picked up the fight, you pick up the sword to fight, and now you are stressed, you're emotionally depressed, you are exhausted, you're frustrated. Not because the battle is wrong, but because you are fighting what you should have surrendered to. Jesus didn't resist the cross because he understood something that Peter did not. Some pain could be purpose in disguise. Some pain could be purpose in disguise. And the mistake that Peter made was not just using the sword. It was not using a wrong weapon for the wrong moment. It was not discerning. This is where many believers are falling. Even today, even right now, you're fighting spiritual battles, destiny battles, relationship battles, but using anger, using emotions, using arguments, using control, using manipulation, using emotional pressure, but without discernment. Now, these are carnal weapons. And here's the danger. When you use carnal weapons, you're stepping out of spiritual authority, because God does not back methods. He backs your alignment. Let me make it plain. You cannot shout your way into peace. You cannot force your way into favor. You cannot argue your way into destiny. It doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't work like that. Because every realm has its language. The spiritual realm responds to alignment, to faith, to obedience, to discernment. Not to aggression, not to your emotions, not to fear. Bring flesh into spiritual fights. You're speaking the wrong language, and heaven will definitely stay silent. Now that is why some of you pray, but nothing moves, nothing happens. Because after prayer, you pick up the sword again. You pray for peace, then you go back and argue. You pray for restoration, then you go back and manipulate the situation. You pray for breakthrough, then what happens? You act in fear. You are canceling your own prayers by doing that. Now let me go deeper. Carnal weapons don't just fall, they backfire most of the time. The anger you use comes back stronger. The control you apply creates a resistance. The manipulation you use destroys trust. And now you are wondering that why are things getting worse for me? Because you are feeding the wrong battle. Because you're feeding the wrong battle with the wrong fuel. Now, Jesus could have called angels. In fact, he said that if he had wished, he could have asked the Father to send him 12 legions of angels. That's what he said. But he did not. Why? Because victory was not in fighting harder. Victory was in submitting self to the will of God. See, some of your biggest victories will not come from resistance. They'll come from restraint, from total surrender to the will of God, from silence, from even obedience. Now, there's power in not reacting most of the time. There's authority in sometimes just walking away when there's a fight. There's dominion in saying that, I will not fight this battle the way my flesh wants me to do. That's how you gain your victory in the spirit realm. That's how you gain your victory. Now, I want you to know this. Peter wanted to fight, but Jesus chose to surrender. And to the natural mind, surrender looks like weakness. But in the spirit, surrender is a strategy. Let me say something that will change you now. Not every victory comes from fighting. Some victories come from surrender, from yielding. Now, Jesus was not empowered. He was not helpless. He was not even vulnerable. But he said he could have called legions of angels, but he did not. Why? Because the cross was not a mistake. It was the plan. It was the plan. And if Jesus picked up the sword, he would have escaped pain and even avoided suffering. But also, he could have aborted our destiny. Because your response is not just a reaction, it is a seed that you plant. And every seed produces a future. If you respond with anger, you plant chaos. If you respond with revenge, you plant destruction. If you respond with control, you plant resistance. But if you respond with the wisdom, what you plant is alignment, is peace. If you respond with restraint, what you plant is authority. If you respond with surrender, what you plant is destiny. This is why some people are stuck in cycles. Same fights, same dramas, same outcomes, because they keep using the same sword. Now hear me carefully. Every time you react wrongfully, you delay yourself. Every time you choose alignment, you advance. Some of you are tired not just because life is hard, but because you are fighting too many battles, unnecessary battles that is. And God is saying tonight, Rest from fighting the wrong way. Now, if you're honest, there's areas in your life where you've been reacting, you've been forcing things, you've been fighting the flesh, and you can feel it. It's not working. Now, this is your moment. I want you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, but now, today.